They gonna. The guys from Delaware.
They gonna.
And Scranton. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like they think like they've gotten away with it. They have. They always get away with it.
All this woke garbage has allowed nothing but stupidity to flourish.
Yeah, they give
and
it
we need to get rid of all of it. You have to not allow a single inch to any of this stupidity.
A nation isn't just built.
It's powered
by people like us.
Last year, Chevron increased U.S. production by nearly 20% to help keep energy reliable. And since 2022, we've spent $44 billion with local suppliers, supporting good jobs across all 50 states. But we're not done yet. Now we're investing $9 billion in American energy projects to help build the future, right here at home.
We put in the work.
Because America depends on it.
Learn more about the hands at work powering America.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention, please.
Keep the faith, hold the line, and own the libs.
It's time for our main event.
Fun Time Friday. Welcome back to the Ruthless Variety Program. I'm Josh Holmes, along with Comfortably Smug, Michael Duncan, and John Ashbrook, left to right across your radio dial. Fellas, as we have come to expect on Fridays, a lot of yucks. A recap of the insanity that Democrats primarily contribute to over the course of a week, and we're going to have a lot of fun here. We've got a great interview. Deputy Secretary Chris Landau is with us. You've heard him here once before when he was the ambassador to Mexico several years ago. He's now got, obviously, an enhanced role as a Deputy Secretary of State, and he can talk to us a lot about everything that's happening in the foreign policy. Great guy.
Yeah.
Smart guy.
And his son's a big fan of the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
Love to see it.
You love to see it. So we might as well just get right into it.
Yeah, Fun Time Friday. This is a good one. There's a lot of good stuff here.
Yeah, it really is. So one of the things that caught our eye, and there are several different avenues in which we explore the stories that we talk about on Fun Time Friday. One of them is like, if you haven't seen this anywhere else, but we just like belly laughed about it internally. This falls into that category. The Wisconsin governor, this guy, Tony Evers, I mean, this dude, first of all, he's a left-wing lunatic. But because he's from Wisconsin, like, it doesn't sound, it was like the whole theory behind Tim Walz, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't sound like a left-wing lunatic, so, like, maybe dudes will buy it. He's weighed in on the immigration debate. It is, wait till you hear this. Clip one, please.
I believe that in Wisconsin, our ability to keep our undocumented people working like they are now at a really high numbers in the state of Wisconsin.
High numbers?
If he takes that to a improper end, our economy will be gone.
It's like an incredible take. It's like when Holmes is saying, so we're going to see him weigh in on illegal immigration, where he comes out on the side of illegal immigration. And he really did. He just was like, so here's the thing, we've got these illegal immigrants, and guess what? Our economy needs them or else we're done.
But it's multifaceted.
Yeah.
The first part that he kind of glosses through, as if this is just accepted fact that we've all worked through, is that we have a high number of undocumented workers in our state.
Huge number of illegals.
Pump those numbers.
Yeah, many of them. They're all at work.
Yeah.
And that's important for us, that all of it, he's like glossing through the main objection that the American people have to illegal immigration, and the fact that you've just like imported at basic slave labor.
That's 100%. And he was like, this is actually a good thing, folks.
Yeah, no, he's like, we got a lot of
on my watch. He's like a staggering number of illegals on my watch, folks. You're way higher than you could imagine.
You're going to get no more cheese unless we can have illegal aliens in our state.
And then he wraps it up by saying basically the entire state of Wisconsin will be belly up. The economy is gone. It'll have to be a rescue program if we actually export the illegal immigrants who are propping up his shitty economy. What an amazing take from a governor of a sovereign state. That is incredible at so many reasons. I wonder, like, football season's upon us. Like, what do Packers fans think about that? Is that what's going on there?
It's a weird thing about places like Wisconsin or Michigan that they have sort of like voter schizophrenia in that Donald Trump will win both of those states and then they elect left-wing lunatics to run the place.
Isn't it weird?
It's
I find it so fascinating because, most states, they have a proclivity.
Right.
One way or another. And there's certain things that they collectively believe in, at least on the margins. It's like a 53-47. It could be a split debate and a personality or a persuasiveness one way or another, or the environment one way or the other can swing it in one direction or another because you've got kind of a split delegation. But they go from a guy who's like
a cadaver.
Hey, first of all, he's 1,000 years old. But second of all, he's like, no, like on my watch, what we've done is created a sanctuary state where there are more than you think.
So my theory is it's the state level machines.
Yeah.
State level machines that get, the governors elected, the nut jobs that you see in their like state assemblies, state senates, where you can get like super majorities of Dems in these Midwest states. But at the top of the ticket, it has less effect, because because
everybody's coming out.
Totally.
Yeah.
But that's how you end up with these nut jobs. I cannot believe this guy is like, the number of illegals boggles the mind, folks, but it's a good thing.
You have no idea what trouble we'd be in if these people had to leave. And it's, there's an argument to be had about a state like Wisconsin where everything is an action and it promotes a reaction, right? Where you've got a guy like Tony Evers who's like, yeah, let all the illegals in, have them take all of our jobs. That's great. And then there's reaction where they're like, no, we want Donald Trump because we got to clean up the mess that this guy made. Except for the fact that that's not entirely true with the state of Wisconsin, right? In that you also had a Supreme Court race, which, you had a left-wing lunatic running against like a pretty mainstream conservative person. I think 3 out of the last 4 years, there's been a debate about those elections. And they're going off the left-hand side of the map, which I do think
the machine
actually promotes your point of view on it, in that a state-level machine that they've got when it comes to off-year, maybe midterm elections, is what flips the balance.
And specials, like the machine, it's huge. The ground game that a machine will have in place, a party system with patronage and all of that, it makes a big difference, especially in special elections, because they'll have a set group of people that can activate and go knock on doors and get that done.
And Smug, you know this firsthand because you were one of the 3 Republicans working in the state of New York who got rocked cycle after cycle by the Democrats.
That's a thing that you learn in New York is, so we won a lot of ground by, taking back Staten Island and Queens. You've won these cake races, so you wouldn't really know what it's like.
That's right. Got his ass.
Yep.
But look, we
One was the key word.
exported the Trump sort of apparatus was exported post-election to go do a Wisconsin Supreme Court race, right? Elon funded, like Pressler and all those guys, all the success that they'd had in places like Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
They tried to replicate at some level, and it ran into a buzzsaw where we got blown out by 14 points, the same number that we were blown out before the Republican apparatus existed in the first place. So, that's a thing that you need to think about as we get into midterms. And we're going to do a lot more coverage at the end of the year and then into next about campaigns and elections, which I know you'll get into it. We're having a tough time, getting to the point where we're excited about elections because we feel like you just keep victory lapping here for a little while. But, that's a thing.
Yeah.
That's definitely a thing. All right. Second thing we got to talk about. Jasmine Crockett, who's one of our faves.
Yes.
We just love it. She's just the spokesperson for today's Democratic Party. Well, it turns out, much like Hillary Clinton before her, she has multiple personalities, fellas. It's changed. The presentation, shall we say, has changed a little bit over the years. Let's just take a look at clip 2, please.
First of all, it's good to see you in the new year.
So this
no one
was
could have
Jasmine
told me that when I went down to
ago.
Austin, now it looks like a little bit over a year ago, that I would be running for Congress.
Baby, because these people, they are crazy, because they always talk about how Christian they is. Yeah, I don't know how many of them on that side are getting divorced because they getting caught up sleeping with their co-workers, staffers, interns, all the things. Yeah, you ain't got to believe me. Just go Google. You'll find some of it. I'm telling you, and the wives is being messy and petty.
Okay.
So there's a slight difference.
You may have noticed.
You have to strain to try to, see if you can tell.
You may have noticed just a touch of difference of presentation.
Just to add a little context here, this is someone who went to St. Louis Country Day School for high school. This is a high school that costs maybe $40,000 or $50,000 a year to attend.
Really?
And now all of a sudden she's pretending to be someone who didn't go to
So you're telling me like the wealthiest people in all of St. Louis send their kids to the school that she went to?
That's exactly right. The creme de la creme.
Which explains the first presentation. But now that she's a Democratic superstar, fellas.
Incredible.
It's a very different look.
Mm-hmm. No, she must have taken theater at that school.
I mean, first class acting. I mean, honestly, Oscar worthy if you think about it.
It's incredible. I mean, it just, when you hear over and over again how Democrats have a problem because they struggle with authenticity. There it is. There it is, right there. Like, they think their supporters are such suckers that they're like, well, if I try to emulate the way that they speak, maybe I can just convince these people.
There's also like this hilarious inversion of like nouns and verbs and adjectives. And it's like an intentional, like I can't imagine anything more demeaning at some level than attempting to sound uneducated to placate to an audience that you think is your new political base. Right? I mean, like... Isn't the whole point?
That's beyond patronizing. You know what I mean? It's essentially it's talking down to people. It's unbelievable. What are you doing here?
It's a well-worn path for Democrats in this country, and I think she was doing her best to emulate one of her heroes. I don't know if you remember Hillary Clinton.
I don't feel no ways tired.
Oh my God.
No ways tired.
Remember that?
I remember that.
Are you kidding me? I forgot
Remember
how bad that was. That was, and there was one. Was it Biden or is Hillary like they gonna put you back in chains?
It was Biden who said that.
Biden.
Yeah,
Mitt Romney. Mitt Romney's gonna put him back.
They gonna. The guys from Delaware. And Scranton. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like they think like they've gotten away with it. They have. They always get away with it.
And I just want to say this whole thing that like Dems try to call it like code switching. That's bullshit. Get the hell out of here. Shut up about code switching.
What's code switching?
So they say that like, well, here's the thing is, when you deal with different demographics and ethnicities, you can have different codes that you feel more comfortable. Shut up. Shut up. It's called the English language.
Wait, hold on.
It's like, be serious.
Is the whole premise that you can only speak to certain people exactly in the dialect that they...
Yes, and that like a person due to their demographics or their like whatever background may feel more comfortable speaking in one code with one group and then another. They call it like code switching. All this woke garbage has allowed nothing but stupidity to flourish.
Yeah, they give
we need to get rid of all of it. You have to not allow a single inch to any of this stupidity.
They give it an official sounding term in an effort to like justify their
code
bullshit.
switching.
Right.
That's it. It's the same
You've
thing.
taught me something here today.
Yeah, it all comes from the stoned academics. All these professors in the Northeast, they get stoned. They come up with these theories like, oh yes, code switching. That's what we'll call it.
But it does. If you think about it, it actually does track a little bit with the Democratic ethos of how you deal with different constituencies. They silo everybody off.
That's the thing.
And there's no authenticity whatsoever. You just have to pretend in each silo that you're with somebody.
Yep.
And then you don't do anything for any of the silos.
That's the way to do it.
It's just all about getting them to vote for you so you have the power.
Divide and conquer is how they've really built a coalition of how you can get queers for Palestine. Because everyone with a brain knows it makes
Do you remember
sense.
when Biden was like, I feel like a Puerto Rican American or whatever?
Oh, yeah.
Like, you just straight up say shit like that.
Yeah. Or like the 7-Eleven blast on the Indians.
Holy
Remember
cow.
that?
I do.
They do. These Democrats get away with it.
Get
They
away
get
with
away with it. It's a loophole.
It's a...
They have a lot of those.
So anyway, it just in the same vein of Democrats just not acting basically how they used to, there's a big discussion this week about that we took out those narco terrorists.
Yes.
Or whatever. Tim Kaine, senator from Virginia, you might remember him as the vice presidential nominee for Hillary Clinton. Nobody else remembers it, but we do here in the Ruthless Variety program. Clip 4, please.
The notion that rights don't come from laws and don't come from the government, but come from the creator, that's what the Iranian government believes. It's a theocratic regime that bases its rule on Shia law and targets Sunnis, Baha'is, Jews, Christians, and other religious minorities. And they do it because they believe that they understand what natural rights are from their creator. So the statement that our rights do not come from our laws or our governments is extremely troubling.
What? What an amazing take.
Dude, we have
As
senators
if the Constitution itself wasn't written.
We hold these truths to be self-evident.
The Declaration
What do
of
you
Independence.
think that means?
And like, I don't know if you noticed all the under God talk.
Yeah.
Well, we founded this country, but it was pretty out there.
Right.
Right? We did
Right.
talk about it.
No, we borrowed what we write on our coins from Iran. That's what Republicans don't seem to understand.
I mean, this really, honestly, it speaks to what's become of the Senate, dude. It's a clown show. That you got senators now who don't even know this stuff. That's like Thomas Jefferson. This is basic 101 stuff. Like elementary kids in this country understand that concept that a U.S. senator is struggling with. It's pathetic.
It's a good bellwether, though, and like you've heard it from us ad nauseum for as long as you've been listening about the change in the Democratic Party and how it's become this crazy kind of lunatic bin where we have to, the media and everybody else treats them as though they're having an honest conversation. But like, that's not how they used to be. That's not how we grew up with Democrats. Like we disagreed on policy matters, but it was always around the edges. Like we accepted certain facts and knew that God does give you inalienable rights that we've tried to codify as a country, which has made America better than every other country in the world. Well, how did JFK, for example, deal with such a question? Clip 5.
The belief that the rights of man come not from the generosity of the state, but from the hand of God.
Oh, it's pretty much on point.
Okay, and he was a Republican, right?
Noted Republican.
Wait,
John
did you vote
Fitzgerald
for him,
Kennedy.
Ashbrook?
Served in his cabinet.
You know what? If the shooter was as accurate as Arch Manning, I might have had a chance to.
Amazing.
I will say that just little component you see time after time. Mm-hmm. It's not just in big things like does God grant you rights, or is it like the city councilman like we're talking about here? It's on everything that they do, and it's a wild thing to watch. We have fun with it here on the Ruthless Friday program. I think we're the only ones that do. Everybody else takes these things extraordinarily seriously. Like if you listen to any of the, CNNs or MSNBCs, if they cover that discussion at all, it's going to be.
It's telling of where their there's no longer like a real philosophical divide. They're now telling on themselves, where they're like, everything you have is due to the hand of a bureaucrat. The bureaucrat is who controls your life.
I don't know, fellas.
It's a godless heathen.
I think they're just simply making the point that the Pilgrims were fleeing a society so they could have more of what the Ayatollah had in mind when they came to the New World. They were just trying to recreate what the Ayatollah has.
They had to clean up that
Rock.
unpleasantness that was the Revolutionary War just simply to follow the Ayatollah's lead.
That's right. That's all they wanted to do.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Very simple.
All right, so you may have noticed we did a little special YouTube thing, and then we did a show yesterday that was terrific. But one of the things that we've covered here, last couple of weeks is just how the embrace of just pure schizophrenic, like conspiracy theories and everything else have become emblematic of today's Democratic Party, and they're just running wild with this stuff. So we did a little clip. It was out there on the X, and lo and behold, Chuck Todd, former host of Meet the Press, decided to show up in the Menchies. Big mistake.
Yeah, he replied. He replied, and he did the thing that every liberal hack journalist does. He replies, and he basically is like, "What about Donald Trump and his conspiracy followers?"
Yeah, I was like,
But what about Trump?
What about him?
So Smug puts it between his legs 360s from the free throw line and just jams it down this guy's neck. And the next thing you know, the minions are all over this thing.
Yeah, he got 20-to-1 ratio. I mean, and I just went after him. I called him out. I was like, listen, you've got a serious problem if you think that it's normal that the left spent the past weekend claiming that Donald Trump had passed away. If you think that's normal, you have and trying to make it the what about Trump thing.
Yeah.
I was like, and also it was a bad idea. I called him Cuck Todd because that's what he is, right? So I said, Cuck Todd, this is a bad idea. Minions are going to come get your ass. And sure enough, they did. I mean, he got nuked to like the moon. And I told him, I think the most important thing is, a lot of these media types, they don't have people who are willing to tell them the truth. And I said to Cuck Todd, I was like, there's a reason you don't have a TV show anymore. And our audience right now, the Minions, are way bigger than any audience you've ever had before. Like, this is why, dude. This is why you've lost. This is why you're a loser. And he hasn't come back. But one thing that I also noticed is, like, I cooked him, and, like, Duncan retweeted me. And, like, Ashbrook was nowhere to be seen.
Wow.
Because my guess is he was texting Cuck Todd. He's like, hey, it's me, Ashbrook. We're still buddies, right, my journal buddy?
How do you respond, Ashbrook?
Just the guy's just
tough.
roasting. Well, your
That's
friend
tough
does
stuff.
have a day job. He isn't always able to retweet everything that you send out. I'll retweet it right
No,
now.
no, it's
but
fine.
I will tell you.
I know you've already texted him. You're like, listen, if I have to retweet him, it's not giving me a hard time. But we'll still be journal buddies. I'll see you at the next Georgetown cocktail party.
Yeah, Smash is a big hit at the cocktail party.
No, that's what they all say.
But we thought it was incumbent upon us to not only just take this at face value from a contemporary standpoint and push back as you did, but just revisit some recent highlights of what Cuck Todd in your vernacular had to do. So let's check out the supercut.
This gets at something, Dean, that my executive producer likes to say is, hey, voters want to be lied to sometimes. They don't always love being told hard truths. I'm a journalist. I have to deal in facts. I deal in facts.
There's a lot of scientific research out there that says gender is a spectrum.
Was it a decades-long assault on science and objective facts, particularly by some on the right?
Are you confident that you know that gender is as binary as you're describing it?
You have one party that has decided that the Second Amendment is almost a religious tenet.
If you're upset about extra IRS agents, stop cheating on your taxes, Congressman.
A lot of Republicans in the last 3 weeks have suddenly found themselves deciding, hey, party over country. Republicans try to keep focus on a border emergency. In some ways, they've sabotaged our immigration policy, and this is why we're here.
Wow.
Oh, man. Just a Democrat.
I mean, like, that is so pathetic that Russert was a great guy. He deserved the hosting of Meet the Press. He knew the job. He understood the assignment. And then for eventually to fall into the hands of Cuck Todd, who like ran it into the ground. That, bro, they don't even let him on TV anymore. He's got a Substack.
I can't believe Ashbrook's friends with him.
He is. Great friends.
Unbelievable.
Tremendous friends.
Tremendous friends.
Yeah.
But wait, there's more.
There's more.
Yes.
We got another set of clips from Cuck Todd. Maybe that'll teach him to show up in our mentions. Next one.
Mark Bray, you are writing this book, Antifa, the anti-fascist handbook. Fascism has only been defeated with violence, right? I assume that's the argument you'd make. Joe Biden believes he's eternally optimistic. He's not cynical. He is the better angel president. There really is a lot of people who believe this is a rigged court. But Republicans are abuzz with cultural warfare, Trump-style grievances, and really passing laws to deal with mythological problems, meaning they don't exist. They were just created in prime time on propaganda cable TV.
Dude.
There is no editorial point of view here on any of these newscasts on MSNBC in the daytime.
We shouldn't have accepted the premise that there was liberal bias. Our bias is facts. I hear the attacks on fact checkers where they fact check Republicans 6 times more than they fact check Democrats. Yeah. Perhaps the Republicans are being factually incorrect more often.
Oh, my God.
Wow.
Yeah. And
That's the guy who Ashbrook hangs out with?
Shout out to Media Research Center for putting together those supercuts. They do a bang-up job of following the liberal media.
They really do, and it's a one-stop shop for folks like us because we encountered this morning, and like we just institutionally memorize every one of these things, and we're like, yeah, it's very difficult to go get. You get the Media Research Center has already put together this supercut of it, and you're like, oh, there it is.
Oh, a fellow traveler. I appreciate that.
Dude, they took away his TV show, and this is all he has left.
Yeah. Arguing in our replies.
I just can't. It's just an amazing commentary on where we're at in the state of the media.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right? I mean, Chuck started out doing the hotline, which the hotline was the initial sort of breakdown of gathered news from across the country and state and local newspapers about Senate races and House races. And it tried to aggregate, before there was just a national media, everything that people were saying about all these races, try to ballpark out for people what was happening across the country. And it was really objective stuff. We interacted with him a lot. It was like he just did a job. And then all of a sudden you drop him into that fucking culture at NBC, and he comes out the other end after getting fired from it, and it's unrecognizable nonsense.
Dude, and he was the top dog at NBC. They gave him Meet the Press, and now some dude in shades on a podcast fucking buries him.
Yikes, dude.
You're done.
Yikes. Yikes.
Hang it up, dude. It's over.
So that leads us to our question of the day. We want to get back to the accent component because I think that Crockett sort of led the way in terms of you had the Hillary Clinton one, you've heard the Joe Biden one, you've heard the Jasmine Crockett one. AOC's got a pretty good one, I might add, where she gets much more Hispanic at times.
Amazing.
And it's what did you call it?
Code switching.
Code switching.
Yeah, that's what they call it.
So who's the
term.
best code switcher? Who's got the worst fake accent?
That's a good one.
Democratic Party. And because you all probably have some local ones, too, that we don't even know about that I'd love to hear about. So when you like and subscribe to the Ruthless Variety program, you drop it in the comments. We read every single one of them. We're going to get back to you next Tuesday with the best of the best on that front. We were going to get to your comments from last episode. But before we do, we're going to talk to you a little bit about Z-Biotics.
Yes, I'm so excited this sponsor is back. This is one of our favorite sponsors of all time.
Yeah.
You'll recall back from the convention in 2024, the fellas all here, I think, subscribed individually and collectively to the idea that we would not have survived that experience.
That's right.
If not for Z-Biotics.
Yeah, we overindulged, as one does when one has some social engagements and some fun amongst friends.
It's a pre-alcohol drink.
Yes.
That if you make it your first drink of the night, drink responsibly, quote unquote, you're going to feel your best tomorrow. We are firsthand experiencers of this particular situation.
That's exactly right. We're firm believers in the idea that there's no tomorrow without Z-Biotics today.
Yeah.
And we mean this. Like, there are, I mean, you listen to a lot of different shows. You see a lot of different stuff of people reading you like,
yeah,
we believe in this thing. We actually do believe in this thing. That Z-Biotics saved us.
Alcohol becomes this toxic byproduct in your gut, and it's neutralized by Z-Biotics. It smooths out the edges of the day after, and that's very important when you got busy schedules like we do.
And we're entering the fall, and that means football season is here, and we all know how we like to enjoy that, tailgates and whatnot. And if you're watching Sunday's NFL action, you decide to have yourself a good time. Don't forget Z-Biotics. It's a new pre-biotic pre-alcohol drink. When you go to zbiotics.com/ruthless, you can learn more and get 15% off of your order at the Ruthless at the checkout.
Yeah.
When you get all that, remember you got to have Ruthless in there.
Yeah.
Very, very important because that's how you get your 15% off. Z-Biotics is backed with by 100% money back guarantee. So if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they're going to refund your money, no questions asked. So you got to go to that website. That's zbiotics.com/ruthless to learn more. Okay, fellas. Listen, the question of the day from Thursday was, what was your favorite left-wing conspiracy, which is what prompted Cuck Todd.
Yep.
And you all have some thoughts on that. And to do it, we start with a voice.
The first comment comes from Unworn Owl, and Unworn writes, personally, my favorite lib conspiracy was Joyless Reed's theory that President Trump did not have the top part of his ear vaporized by a 55-grain pill of lead and copper. I suppose the ketchup that covered his face was just that.
Did you guys hear about that? Like
Yeah.
Joy Reid being like, That couldn't have happened. His ear just regrew. Like, what?
Dude, it's wild.
It's just wild.
Yeah.
It's just wild. In the same way that you kind of have social media posts that 2 years after the fact are hacked.
Right.
Yeah,
And recreated.
It's exactly her.
You know?
Time traveling hacker.
Yeah, time traveling
Changed her
hackers.
blog.
Yeah, and regrow ears.
Yeah.
That's what they do. All right, comment 2, Dunks.
This is from Drunk Engineer. I love it already.
Mm-hmm.
You guys may not have seen this one, but the latest scuttlebutt on left-wing forums is that Michael Duncan is, in fact, dead. And that what we are seeing now is actually an android manufactured in Russia.
That was good. Production team.
was good. How
Thank
about
you.
that?
Thank you, Drunk Engineer.
Little
flourish.
coming through. We got our own drunk engineer back
I
there.
like it.
It's good. Comment 3, Smug.
Comment 3 comes from Liz Lang. Liz writes, "We red voters in Maryland have been conspiring about the beverage Chris Van Hollen was drinking on his first visit to the Maryland man in El Salvador. Was it really water? Did AI convert it to a margarita? Was it a shot of Don Julio? We demand a commission to be enacted to get to the bottom of this troubling event."
Nice. I love it.
It's so good. All right, so a couple of things that we need to hit here in a variety segment. Curtis Sliwa, he's running for mayor of New York, along with a host of psychopaths on the Democratic side. And you can all make your decisions about who to vote for on that if you live in New York. Like, we're a mixed view. Some of us think that the socialists ought to win just so you can see what the bottom of the barrel looks like.
Yeah, I think Smug and I subscribe to the accelerationist theory of this, and that is make it a socialist hellhole so that people finally revolt against the
They
system.
finally see with their own very eyes what we've been trying to tell them for quite some time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway, there's a difference of opinion on that, but Sliwa has got a very innovative idea.
Mm-hmm.
They have a rat problem in New York.
They do.
One that you are well aware of. And we, being the foremost animal fighting podcast that's anywhere in this world, sympathize with the plight of anyone who's under attack by the animal kingdom. And that includes New Yorkers, even if they're voting for a socialist communist from Uganda. But in this case, Sliwa's got an innovative idea, and I'd be interested to hear Ashbrook, for example, who often comes up with the solutions and how we deal with it, and what he thinks about this that is posted in the New York Post from Sliwa, saying that a feral cat colony would be perhaps the best way to claw back at New York City rat problem. Caped crusaders at night, he says.
I think it's creative. I think you use nature against nature. We all know that the animal menace is rising up against humanity, and everybody thinks that China or Russia or the jihadist Islamic sentiment is what's going to take us down. Eventually, the animals are going to rise up. So we have to start acting now. And if we can build an ally in the cats in New York to stop the rats, I think it's brilliant. I think it takes a Republican in New York. It takes Republican leadership. You know, Republicans haven't won in New York very frequently, as Smug knows. It's important to show that leadership if you want to win, and I think Curtis Sliwa is onto something.
So his whole idea is you just unleash feral cats to the streets of New York, and they'll take care of the rat problem. It's innovative.
Yeah, but if they do too well, then you're going to have a cat problem.
Yeah, and then you got to get dogs.
Yeah.
Right?
And
You can do that.
dogs.
You can do that.
Cats don't
So we
pull their
keep
weight.
using-
This is the thing. Cats are the ultimate socialists when
They
it
are.
comes to the animal kingdom. And I do appreciate the ingenuity of using the animal kingdom against itself. So that's a +1 in the positive column. But in the negative column, I mean, cats are like a free rider problem in
They are.
society.
Well, they're a sociopathic group,
Yeah.
too.
Here's the thing is also, it's good for Curtis to think this would work, but it doesn't, because cats cats don't hunt rats.
Oh, really?
They just won't. They go for mice, but they're scared of rats.
Is that right?
That's the truth. So here's the actual solution.
Banana pool.
No, put a bounty on it. You use the real natural resource that there's plenty of in New York City, the homeless.
Oh, my
You give $5 a rat. You show up to a police station, every rat you have, $5.
You know, I actually love that. Just like a bounty system, just like the Wild West.
You know what they do?
1 million dead rats, $5 million. Done, dude.
They do something similar in Florida.
Yeah.
With the pythons.
With the pythons. So just
seems to work.
unleash
See, and
the
that's
homeless.
why
You have
you
the
tune
homeless
in.
running through the tunnels, dude, just cleaning out rats.
Do you
it's the
have
greatest use of their natural resource.
Do you have an infestation problem? You come right here on Ruthless Friday program. In 30 seconds or less, we're going to diagnose and provide a solution that is both achievable and practical.
And a jobs program.
It's a jobs program. It's an economic boost. Okay. The other thing we get at Red Zone. So all of us, I think, in some form or fashion, have contributed on X to the idea that ESPN and the NFL came to a deal in which the NFL network was going to become a part of ESPN. And the natural question at that point was like the Red Zone channel. And that's the channel, if you're not an NFL viewer, it's the one that cuts between all of the games all day long to the best, like, as it's happening, action. So if somebody's inside, they call it the red zone, because if you're inside the 20, you're about to score, you flip to that game. Sometimes they got a 4-box going. It's riveting television.
Riveting.
People love it. And if you're an NFL fan like us, you've lived on this for a long period of time. If your team is not playing in the hour block, whether it's the
Just
1
keep it on
o'clock
red
games,
zone.
it's just red zone. Like, that's all it is. And there's nothing that gets you more hyped than Hanson coming on and being like, 7 hours.
Yeah.
A straight football. And like,
It's a commercial.
It's a promise.
We used to have it so good.
When you get to the end of that 1 o'clock schedule of games and everything's in the fourth quarter and it's going bang, bang, boom around to a lot of games that are decided by touchdowns or field goals.
He calls it the witching hour.
It is incredible.
He calls it the witching hour.
It's pure content.
Where it's at the end of those games and everybody's just riveted. Well, it turns out, like, we all expressed concern about ESPN's acquisition and said, if you ruin Red Zone, we riot. Like, we will make J6 look like a tea party. I mean, you cannot do this. They just introduced this week that they're going to have full advertising breaks.
I can't believe it. I really can't
They-
believe it.
they ruined
ESPN is the devil, bro. They ruin
ruined it.
everything.
Like, why? Why would you do this?
Because they're horrible people.
But also just think of the lack of marketing ingenuity here. All you have to do is get one sponsor on the Chiron to say Red Zone brought to you by, and then take the entire revenue that you hope to garner during the course of an hour at 4 or 5 breaks and make them pay that. If you can't sell that, I'll this afternoon sell that. Like,
They don't
I
care.
could sell that tomorrow.
They don't care. They don't care.
And
I
they
mean,
don't.
ESPN management does not care about quality or else the state of that network.
I think what it says is that ESPN doesn't care about their audience.
Nope, they don't.
And they don't really even know their audience.
I remember
or
it was-
half of the shit that they have on there wouldn't have a show because it's unlistenable, it's unwatchable, and then they get the golden goose.
Yes.
Red
Yeah.
Zone.
Red Zone.
And they ruin it.
They
and
fuck
it
it up
tells you
immediately.
everything you need to know about the corporate leadership over there at ESPN that they disrespect the audience.
But, like, I don't care. Does it cost, I don't know what the spots are going for, but if in the course of an hour, you hope to get in peak NFL season maybe a couple $1 million out of it, you mean to tell me that any given Sunday somebody's not going to spend a couple $1 million to put their brand
They don't care.
on-
If they cared about actually being profitable and running a business well, their network wouldn't be the state that it is. They're run by complete morons. We talked about it like a week ago where they put that ad out of like it's 14 WNBA players and like not even the top golf. No, there's
That's
like
fair.
no one but WNBA players. They're just pushing an agenda and they're locked to it. And they're stupid people. They're very stupid people.
I mean, listen,
yes, Smug.
we're going to
I
have a
hate
lot
him
more
so
to say. I
much.
want to experience it so I can get my full, because I got a Monday nighter
Yeah.
with the Vikes. So I'll be able to full
Oh yeah,
Red Zone
yeah,
on
right.
Sunday.
You're going to be
Ugh.
our Red Zone tracker.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna let that blood pressure build, and I'm gonna give you it all on Tuesday.
Good.
And speaking of Monday Night Vikes, that's the anchor leg of our Brotherhood parlay.
Yeah, for
First
those
one
of
of
you
the NFL season.
who are unfamiliar with the Ruthless Brotherhood parlay, and you're new to this program, what happens during NFL season is I'm a Vikings fan, Smug here is a Broncos fan, Duncan's a Colts fan, and the guy in the corner, I don't think you have any question at this point because he talks about it every 7 seconds, but he's a Bengals fan in Ashbrook. So if you put these all together in a parlay, which of course is at one bet, that counts on the money line, meaning that each one of these teams win on a Sunday, you put them together, you get better odds and a better payout. So like you put $1 down, you probably get like $5 back. Whereas if you're just betting on one team individually, you get like something short of $1 back because of the odds.
Yeah. Very early in the show, it became prerequisite for enjoying my Sunday because the group chat that we have during NFL season is very toxic without this.
It used to be like attacking each other, but if you're in it together.
Right. Now, this
100%.
forces us all to have good decorum in our group chat.
It does, because we have to actually...
And you only have to bet like $5, $10, you know? I mean, like, don't go broke on this thing.
And the thing is if it hits, if you put a decent...
I mean, it hits crazy.
It hits like once or twice a year.
Yeah.
But when it does, it pays for the rest of your
I
year.
mean, the odds this weekend are like plus 500.
Yeah.
Good.
So, like,
Good
that's
stuff.
what we do. If you want to get in on that, you let us know. A lot of people participated over the years.
It's fun.
And if you're like a gaming provider, come talk to us. Like, we're happy to talk about what the platform is that we should all be betting on. We all probably use different things, but the bet notwithstanding, like, it's a good one.
Yeah.
It's a good one. We have a lot of fun with it. So we want to get to our interview. Chris Landau, he's a Deputy Secretary of State. I don't have to tell you. Like, there's a lot going on in the world, and this president has decided that he, more than anyone else really, is going to get involved and try to create world peace, which is an admirable.
I mean, he did it before.
Yeah, he did it before. But one of the people that is in charge of that mission is Chris Landau. As I mentioned at the top of the show, we talked to him when he was the ambassador to Mexico, did a bang-up job there. You're going to love this guy. He's great. So, listen, we have favorites. And when it comes to foreign policy, this guy has been fantastic for so long. You've heard him here before. He's now the Deputy Secretary of State. I mean, just a big deal. Chris Landau, how are you, sir?
I am so happy to be back with you guys. You guys hosted me during my years of exile, so it feels particularly nice and fitting and appropriate to be back with you guys. And there's not a bunch of folks I'm happier to spend time with.
That's great. So last time you met with us, you were a former ambassador to Mexico, which, you know, obviously there was a fair amount in your jurisdiction in the first 4 years of the Trump administration. I think you laid all of that out. I know you still have perspective on that. Before we get into your new job, give us a little flavor for your new perch and how you see Mexico, immigration, all of the discussions now that we have tried to reverse the ills of 4 years of the Biden administration.
Sure. Well, you know, I'm still the former ambassador to Mexico. Didn't lose that one.
Oh, yeah.
And you know, once a former, always a former, as they say. And so, you know, happy to talk about it. Look, it's a very important foreign relationship. And to be honest with you, you know, my desire going into this administration, if I was going to get a government job, was to go back to Mexico and finish the work that I had embarked upon during the first Trump administration. And so I would have been absolutely delighted and honored to do that, but events took a different course. But you know, I'm still a believer that the relationship with Mexico is one of probably our most important foreign relationship in the world, in the sense that it impacts the lives, the prosperity and the security of the American people more directly than any other foreign relationship. I mean, you think of our 2,000-mile border, think of migration, you think of drugs. Many of the challenges we face in this country have their roots along that border. And so I'm a big believer that for way too long, the U.S. has been focused on the Middle East and Europe and kind of far-flung places, and has not focused enough on our own border. In fact, I thought one of the priorities from a foreign policy perspective of this administration has to be to reassert American sovereignty. And that first and foremost consists of establishing control over our own borders. I mean, the president has said this a lot, but you know, a country is not a country unless it has a border and can control its border. That's the most essential element of sovereignty of any country, is to say, this is, you know, as far as our jurisdiction goes, and this is who gets to come in, and this is, you know, the conditions under which they can come in. If you lose control of that, you've kind of lost everything. And it was frankly, you know, shocking to me as an American that that became a partisan issue, and that we actually wound up with a government in charge of our federal government who basically was devoted to bringing in people across our border in defiance of the laws enacted by Congress. I mean, just shocking. I mean, we've had many disagreements. You can disagree about minimum wage or lots of things, but to talk about, controlling the border, who comes in our country, just was mind-boggling to me. And frankly, that's never been a partisan divide before. I mean, just go look at the debates of the Clinton years. You have Chuck Schumer talking about the need for, a secure border. I don't know, people seem to have lost their mind in the last 4 years. I just can't explain it.
It's wild to me because you look at the way that the Biden administration handled Mexico, and they just seem to placate the cartels and seem to placate those in Mexico who were coddling the cartels. And I know that you guys and our president have taken a very, very different approach.
Yeah, I mean, look, you want to disincentivize illegal migration to our country, and it's from Mexico, but it's from all over the world nowadays. I mean, this is one point I think I always try to emphasize, that a lot of people still think the migration issue is a U.S.-Mexico bilateral issue. It is not. Mexicans were actually the minority of people streaming over our border, over the Mexico-U.S. border. People were coming from all over the world, from China, from Bangladesh, from Congo, from Cuba, Venezuela, Uzbekistan. I mean, it was like reading the UN roster every day. And so, that actually gives us common ground to work with the Mexicans, because they don't have any interest in being a doormat for the entire world trying to come into the United States illegally, right? And so, I think this is going to be one of the big issues of kind of world policy in the 21st century, these migratory challenges. I mean, look at Europe. It's unrecognizable now. And this is not a inevitable development. I mean, this is something that the current governments in Europe, really driven by the EU, are pushing, this kind of open borders policy, that all of a sudden there's, migrants from Iraq and Syria, Afghanistan. It's just changed the face of these European countries. And I think what I read today, that 40% plus of the students in primary school in Austria are Islamic now. I mean, that's just going to change the demographics of Austria profoundly. It's no longer going to be what we recognize as Austria. And again, they have a right to make that decision. But what's kind of crazy is I'm not aware of any country whose people have democratically voted for open borders. I mean, so these people in Europe keep voting for parties, whether, on the conservative end of the spectrum, the more liberal end, no matter what, they wind up just getting more and more open borders. And I just think this is going to be one of the major issues on the international scene in our lifetime.
Well, it definitely seems that. Listen, you got a big, broad portfolio. You're Deputy Secretary of State. We've maintained on this program that this administration, by its own choice, has become one of the most consequential foreign policy administrations in my lifetime, because of how you've dealt with the world, the problems that you're willing to take on. I mean, look, there's no domestic political constituency in trying to solve Ukraine, for example, trying to solve problems between Israel and Hamas. And yet this president has jumped into it because he's rightly recognized that America is the leader of the free world. Tell me about just the full panoply of issues that you've had to deal with and try to clean up from the Biden administration.
I think you're right, as a general matter, in the first place, to talk about how consequential this administration is in foreign policy. And I think that is attributable to one thing, and that is the president. This president is the first chief executive we have had in our lifetimes who has actually fulfilled his role as chief executive with the vigor the founders expected, and has not just basically allowed the bureaucracy to proceed on autopilot. We are following, at the State Department, Donald Trump's foreign policy, right? We are not following a State Department foreign policy that is independent of the White House. It is crazy, as somebody who's a constitutional lawyer by training, to even think that that should be something that is kind of unusual. But this is what we have gotten used to in the government, that the bureaucracy, the non-elected, constant bureaucracy has just become, our permanent government. And so that you'll have presidents of different parties come and go, and they basically leave only small footprints that are quickly washed away with the next tide. Donald Trump has really seized the reins of executive power in a way that we have not seen in our lifetime.
So I think the thing that I find most interesting about the way Donald Trump views foreign policies, he doesn't view it in this monolithic way that so much of our foreign policy establishment does. He uses all of the tools at his disposal to sort of shape the outcome he's trying to get to, whether it's, with Israel, Hamas, or it's the peace he's been brokering in places like India and Pakistan. The tariffs and all this sort of. Can you explain to our audience how different that is, versus the philosophy of the old guard establishment of foreign policy?
Yeah, I mean, Trump is a business guy, right? So he understands the concept of leverage, right? And so he is very focused on, the United States should no longer act like the strong guy who has to play with one hand tied behind his back, right? I mean, to fight with one hand tied behind his back. Like we are using all the levers of American power. I mean, for a lot of countries, we've been getting ripped off for years where, we allow all these countries to sell into our market, which is, such a vast domestic market. We may not have the biggest population in the world, but our people have the biggest buying power. And the American consumer is the market every country in the world wants to reach, right? That's the gold standard. And so we've been basically allowing in all these other countries to sell their goods here. And meanwhile, they've been blocking us. I mean, countries like India, Brazil, that's the kind, China, obviously, that's the kind of, non-reciprocity that drives the president crazy. And, I think he doesn't lose sight of the fact that ultimately power is economic. I mean, yes, power is also military, but you can't have a sustained military power if you don't have the economic base to support it. Look at the Soviet Union, and so ultimately then you become a paper tiger. And so I think he understands that, when you're dealing in foreign relations, you just have to figure out what are your points of leverage with a country and how do you best exert them for the well-being of the American people. I mean, again, I think he has identified the object of our foreign policy as being advancing the well-being and the interests of the American people, right? He doesn't think he's there to be Mother Teresa and to take care of all the world's ills. I mean, if people want to give their money to charity, they are absolutely free to do that. But our tax system, which, is forced collection from the people, should not be used for charity, right? It should be used to promote the interests of our country, right? And sometimes that may involve, some degree of assistance if you can tie that assistance to some specific goal that is going to improve our, safety, security, and prosperity. But you have to have that link. Ultimately, that's the point that was lost on the foreign policy establishment, that they were pursuing goals that were different than the America First goals of, more making the world safer, more secure, and more prosperous for the American people.
Tell me about how, and you interact with a fair amount of heads of state, foreign leaders in every regard. Tell me about the receptivity, right? Because, I mean, all of these people have dealt with a Biden administration that very much by the book, old guard, establishment type stuff. They've known them for 30 years because they've worked in minorities and majorities of the United States Senate. Right. They have those relationships. They're accustomed to predictability, and all of a sudden, Trump administration shows up with leverage for the first time. Respect?
100% respect. And, I think it's important to separate Western Europe from the rest of the world. I think, to establishment people in our foreign policy community, I'd say this is probably true both of Democrats and Republicans, the foreign policy world kind of revolves around, Berlin, Paris, and London. And if something is well received in those capitals, then it becomes a brilliant foreign policy stroke. Those countries are basically becoming an ever smaller percentage of the world population, world economic activity. And it's a big world out there. And, if you have a foreign policy geared to making friends in those countries, it's going to look very different than, and I really do think when you see things in the New York Times saying, foreign capitals are very worried about this, they're reporting from the standard, Berlin, Paris, London, right? I mean, they're not reporting from, Buenos Aires. They're not reporting from Lagos or from Pretoria or Delhi. It's a big world out there. And I just think the American foreign policy establishment is still very caught up in the rut of traditional thinking, thinking inside the box. Oh no, we can't do that. That would be mean, or that wouldn't look right, or it's just Trump just doesn't think in those terms. Trump thinks what is good for the American people, and how have we been getting screwed over the years? And again, I think everybody knows that he is the first person to kind of call out China for ripping us off over many years. And again, I think as you pointed out, the president wants peace. I mean, the president, he wants he promotes the interest of the United States, but I think he recognizes that, peace is in the interest of the United States. Global conflicts generally are not good for anybody.
Let me use that as a jumping off point. Last question. Bullish or bearish on where we're at with Ukraine, Russia?
That's a complicated one. Obviously, I mean, I think bullish, but it's not going to happen all at once. I mean, I think, he is putting a lot of pressure on both sides of that. And again, I think he is respected by people on both sides of that. I mean, I think if you look,
the only one that could make the conversation
100%. Well, again, as he is fond of saying, and this is indubitably true, that this would have never happened on his watch because people respect him and nobody would have messed with him. I mean, this is all a result of Biden's calamitous withdrawal from Afghanistan, which made our country look, at its weakest point since we were, off the rooftop in Saigon back when I was a kid. So, I think it is tough when a war is 3 years in to try to change that. But, Biden people were basically having this as a proxy war against Russia. The United States and Russia, should not be enemies. I mean, I think hopefully we'll try to find a way that we can lay a foundation for a mutually beneficial relationship. So we don't have to, those of us who grew up in the Cold War remember, like the Soviet Union is our enemy. It seems to me that I don't know how the heck we got to this place where, after the fall of the Soviet Union and the emergence of many countries from what used to be the Soviet Union, and that we wound up bollocksing our relations with Russia so bad that now we're trying to we're kind of repeating that role where the Russians are our enemies, and let's try to have a world where that's not the case, because that's going to be a better world for all of us, right? I mean, you're not going to bungle into World War III over Ukraine. So I think that this is a tough one, but the president's very focused on this, and I think again that he is somebody that can talk to Putin and has the respect of both Putin and Zelensky. I mean, people don't mess with President Trump, and I can't tell you guys. I mean, how many presidents just want to come to the United States and have their picture taken with Trump? I mean, he's kind of the alpha male on the world stage, and for those people, it's just politically something that they really want. Literally, they come in and say, please, just a 30-second photo with the president. And
China this fall?
We will see. I mean, again, that's another tricky relationship. Again, I think the president wants to have a constructive relationship with China. I think China, frankly, has evaded the rules for so long. But we're not looking for permanent enemies. I mean, I think China is a
it's that working
competitor. I mean, let's I think he's looking for strategic stability with China, and again, I don't think Americans should it's one thing to say China has been ripping us off. We've got to get that relationship on a kind of reciprocal, mutually beneficial. Back on that kind of a basis, right? That we can't go with these, billions and hundreds of billions of dollars deficits, every year. We got to kind of, have, a much more normal and reciprocal relationship. We deal with student visas, intellectual property protection, lots of issues with China. But at the end of the day, I don't think, again, we want to make it inevitable that we become enemies with China. I mean, we don't want to teach our children like this. People are our enemies.
Not good for anybody.
Not good for anybody, right? No. And I just think the American people are not looking for enemies in the world. And this is one of the things I think that concerns me, that we have this big national security footprint, right, that was created after World War II, right? We after Pearl Harbor, we ginned up a big thing. We built the Pentagon in a matter of months, and then before you know it, we have bases all over the world. We have a big, foreign policy establishment. We have embassies all over the world. Big military, standing military, which we never had, for decades in peacetime traditionally. And I just worry that basically this big, let's call it the deep state, because that's really what it is, that they always need an enemy to justify their existence. And I just think those of us who come in on the political leadership just need to be skeptical and ask hard questions. Like, why do we have to fall into these patterns of constantly having enemies everywhere in the world?
Yeah.
And again, not to be naive about the world. I mean, there's a lot of bad people out there, and
but deal with it at face value.
Correct. I mean, yeah, I think that's right. And just again, like, grasp opportunities for peace. Don't look for ways to defeat those opportunities. And again, that may not come easy, but let's try to make the basis for our relationship with the world mutually beneficial commercial relations. I mean, if you go back to our founders, what did they think about foreign policy? You go back and you read, some of their papers and George Washington's farewell address. I mean, they really wanted to have, mutually beneficial relationships that increase the prosperity of our country. So we could have trading relationships, we'd have markets abroad. We've kind of lost that in recent decades, when all we want to do is have, military alliances, and I just think that is not healthy. We've kind of lost the script on this.
Listen, if I got myself in trouble internationally and I needed a guy to come speak on my behalf, Chris Landau is the guy.
Without a doubt.
This is the guy.
Without a doubt.
And folks, just listeners, I did not pass him a C note for that. Completely unprompted, I promise you.
Unprompted. Thank you for being a good friend of the program. You and your family, by the way.
Yes, my son Nat is a big fan, and let me tell you, folks, I got out of this interview a signed Ruthless baseball cap.
Yeah,
Which I think will be under the Christmas tree for Nat this year. He's 24 years old, so, we'll have to see if he's a good boy or not.
That's good. That's good. No, hold his feet to the fire on that deal.
I will. I mean,
he's welcome.
But he's a very loyal listener, and, let me tell you, my estimation in his eyes as a dad just went over the moon when he knew I was coming back on your podcast. He loves you guys. And so here's a shout out to Nat.
Well, he is the next generation. That's our guys. That's our guys. Appreciate your time. Thank you for everything you're doing. Keep us updated. If there's ever anything we can do, you know where to find us.
Well, love what you guys are doing. I think it's so important for our country. And again, I think it's really important for you guys to hold our feet to the fire. I mean, I think one of the problems that we have had with the foreign policy establishments is become very disconnected from the people and doesn't feel a need to really explain its thinking process to the American people. I mean, we are the servants of the American people, and I think it's a big part of my job to come on and explain our thinking. I think I owe that to the American people. So I appreciate an opportunity like this to come and just kind of talk about my views and what I how I see myself fulfilling the president's mandate and the secretary's mandate and just what we're doing. And again, I hope that I like to read social media and I like to get feedback from people and whether it's on visa policy or, involvement in this conflict or that conflict or non-involvement. I mean, again, I think it's really important for the American people to recognize that ultimately foreign policy is all about them and their welfare. And frankly, I think their common sense goes a heck of a lot further than a lot of these so-called experts.
Very well said. Chris Landau, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
So he's great. The one hallmark, it seems to me, of the Trump administration in terms of how he's put together this second-term team are a bunch of people who don't really need to be in the middle of contentious debates, right? This guy was like captain of industry in terms of an attorney partner in a major law firm. Like, he could have gone and lived in an island somewhere. But he felt like he had something to give and actually cared and wanted to be a part of it, believed in America First solutions. And you can tell based on that interview, like, he is just dogmatically committed to try to make our relations with the rest of the world a better place for Americans. Mm-hmm. And it's great to see.
And the results speak for themselves. I think you want those kind of people there.
You really do. He's done a hell of a job. So remember our question of the day. What's the worst fake accent? What do we call it?
Code switching.
Code switching. The code switching that Democrats do. You like and subscribe and you leave it in there, and that's terrific because we're going to get it back to you on Tuesday about all of that. Don't forget to order your Z-Biotics, by the way, this weekend. Got to get on that.
You need it.
Very, very, very important. We're going to we've now, for the first time in some time, have our own supply again. So I can't wait to feel like $1 million every day to give you just hot fire. We're going to get back to it next week. So thanks for joining us. It's been a big week. Really appreciate everything at zbiotics.com/ruthless. Go to our YouTube channel. Leave your comments. With that, fellas, I think we did it.
I think so. Absolute banger of an episode. Gentlemen, thank you so much to the Means. Remember, if you have not yet, hit the subscribe button on the YouTube. It's more fun in video. So until next time, Minions, keep the faith, hold the line, and own the libs. We'll see you on Tuesday. Stay ruthless.